Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Pro Wrestling Perspectives podcast. My name is John Alford. Glad to be here with you. We go live every Thursday at 9:30. We're a few minutes early, but you can look forward to that every Thursday. On all these podcasts, we will be discussing the Raw and the Smackdown from the previous week. And the Thursday preceding a pay-per-view, we will be discussing predictions as to what's going to happen. For example, Elimination Chamber coming up, not this Sunday, but the next Sunday. The next time you hear from us, we'll be discussing predictions for that pay-per-view. And after a pay-per-view, the following Thursday, we'll discuss those predictions. Again, as we talked about in previous podcasts, our goal here is to give you different perspectives on wrestling. We're all different levels of fans. For example, I'm a little bit more hardcore than the other people that we have joining us today. But you're going to hear from me. You're going to hear from two casual fans. We do have one guy out tonight. Chase is usually our semi-serious guy. He's in Disney World right now, hanging out with Goofy and Mickey and Minnie. So we wish him to have a good time there, and we'll see him back next week. So let's introduce you to our two co-host, or whatever you want to call him. Chance, how are you doing tonight, bud?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well. Chance is about as casual as you can get. Mostly just watches the pay-per-views, and when we pressure him, he'll catch the Hulu versions of both the other shows. Chad, how's it going tonight, bud?
Pretty good, bud. How y'all?
Doing well. Go ahead, Chance. What'd you say?
I said doing great.
Cool. We encourage you to like, subscribe to our podcast. Even if you're not interested in wrestling, we just prefer that you do that so they can get the word out and spread to other wrestling fans. If you see something that needs to improve about this podcast, please drop us a line at prowrestlingperspectives@gmail.com. But we remind you that we are just a couple of fans. None of us are journalists here. We're just looking to have a good time and discuss wrestling. If you would like to be joining us on a future episode of Pro Wrestling Perspectives podcast, drop us a line at that email that I just gave you, prowrestlingperspectives@gmail.com. And we'll look to add you to one of our shows to discuss some of your opinions on the Raw and Smackdown from that week. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to take a look back as general viewpoints or opinions on this past week's episode. Chance, let's start with you. Can you kind of give us your overall takeaway from this week's WWE action?
I liked it. I liked that. I felt like there was more matches, less drama going on. I don't know if that's because getting closer to WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber. I don't know if they do that regularly. But I enjoyed that, especially on SmackDown. I felt like didn't see as much Shane and Brian, so that was nice.
All right, Chad.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good week. Nothing too wild and crazy, though. I mean, pretty much everything kind of went as planned. The whole KO Zayn thing was a little bit of a twist this week. But other than that, things kind of went to plan, and we'll get into every match. But nothing really stood out. I think when it showed the Asuka. Okay, so they use just like silent.
Right. And those everybody off this Asuka.
Yeah, for those that don't know, we have a Chinese place here
whatever that promo was,
where we live.
Had like all their stats or whatever. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, it was a good week. Wasn't an amazing week, but for like in the middle of pay-per-views, it's pretty good.
I've warned the two guys. I'm going to warn you guys out there who are watching this. My nerd-o-meter is going to be going off all during this podcast. This is one of my favorite weeks in a very, very long time. I don't know why, if it was just two great shows, or it was because I was just in a really good mood. But this week was just awesome, in my opinion, for a number of reasons, and we'll get into them as we go along. So that's our overall reflections from this particular week. I do want to talk about the bet results. Last week, we put out a bet to decide who would be the one that would provide a meal for Elimination Chamber. This guy lost. The call was to see when Heath Slater entered the Royal Rumble. And I want to say it was like number 5. I don't think anybody hit that, but I said 10. So I was the furthest away and the loser of that. So I'll be providing the meal for Elimination Chamber.
What you cooking?
Are
you picking up?
Yeah,
He'll just do his
Rotel. Yeah, I might do something else. I don't know. Maybe red beans and rice.
Oh, yeah, you got to get so hard to make something.
Oh, that's right. Okay, gotcha.
That's right.
She'll be getting a Persian dish together. All right, so let's go right into our Raw recap and analysis of what was going on. So let me swap over to that. All right, out comes John Cena. Here to do his WrestleMania pitch. John Cena is always the underdog, guys. You never think that he'll win. I know that it's hard to believe that he actually has a chance at going to WrestleMania and wrestling in a match. And that's how he's portrayed in this. He wants to go to WrestleMania but doesn't have a match, and he needs to win Elimination Chamber to get there. He says Brock Lesnar is quote-unquote unbeatable. But he's trying to convince us and probably himself that he'll triumph over Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Listening to him, I've never liked John Cena promos a whole lot, but through the years, to me, they've gotten more and more hollow. And this John Cena, when I look at him, I don't believe a word he's saying. I think he's missing that fire that he once had, and that's what happened. We talked about it last week, Chad. The thing is, he's been out a lot, and when he shows back up, it's hard to get back into that groove, and it's hard for you to believe yourself and to convey that to other people. Hey, this is real serious to you. The WWE means a lot to you because you've been gone forever. Chad, what are your thoughts on Cena right now in his career at this point? Last week, he talked about how even though he's 40, he's just getting started on the little video. I guess it was promo for the Elimination Chamber qualifying match later on that night. How do you feel about John Cena and where he is in the WWE at this point in his career?
It's not good. It's not looking good for him, mainly because there's so many better wrestlers on top of better personalities. He's just kind of it's like one of them. The sticks got old, I mean, it's like with anything. There's only so many times you can do the same thing. Like you look at Stone Cold, his career wasn't long enough for you to get tired of that. You know what I mean?
You're right. Mm-hmm, definitely.
But most people who have a long career outside of Undertaker, they usually change. You know what I mean? So I think he needs a change. He needs some kind of spark. But, because he's kind of just a middle-of-the-road wrestler right this second. They kind of keep him at the top just because of who he is. And y'all know me. I like John Cena, but a lot of it has to do with nothing to do with wrestling. It's just he's a good guy. He does things the right way. You'll never see him, getting in trouble or nothing. So he's a good role model, stuff like that. But as far as straight wrestling, I would say there's 10 wrestlers that are just above him right now, probably more than that. I mean, I think he's just kind of just in the middle there, just floating around. But he still sells probably a bunch of T-shirts and stuff. So, I mean, they're going to keep him relevant. But until somebody gets hurt, a couple of big guys get hurt, I just don't see him being a champion anytime soon.
Yeah, to piggyback off your point, and then we'll go to you, Chance. If you look at the Undertaker character, while we weren't watching for years and years and years, that character changed, not in the name, but just in the character itself. He added moves. He added depth to the character.
He evolved like crazy.
He evolved. He did have a period where he was a biker, And he was just like, but at least he was doing something different to kind of change up and freshen up that character. What you see now with John Cena is the same person he's been almost his entire career. I think a year or two into his career, he switched to the ball cap wearing, jean shorts, t-shirt kind of guy. And now that he's been away for so long, he just doesn't look like he's as into it as he once was. What you can say about him is that he's let a lot of people beat him, and that's helped some people, quote unquote, get over, like Kevin Owens. But when you let everybody beat you, it doesn't mean anything anymore. You still have to keep him hot. I don't think they really have. He's always been the person to get beat here lately, and then after a while, you don't have a leg to stand on when you go out there and get beat again. Chance, what are your thoughts on Cena? I know that you probably haven't followed him as closely as everybody else, but he's so popular. There's a good chance when you turn on the TV that you might see him somewhere along the line on some program. What do you think about Cena now as opposed to earlier parts in his career?
Yeah, I'm with you guys and thinking, saying, he's not what he once was, and saying that it's kind of getting old. But I do think he's still a really good wrestler. I enjoy watching him wrestle. He's kind of like Roman Reigns to me, as far as I see the same thing every week. But as long as he continues to wrestle good, then I'm still going to enjoy watching it. I could do without the promos and stuff, just because I don't even listen to them anymore, just because they're the same. They're the same stuff. Um, that's about all I got to say on him.
Okay, well, Miz interrupts and says it's 2018. This is the Miz's year. He's going to have his own show, The Miz and Miz's, I believe it's called. It's going to be on the E channel. And so he's got a lot of momentum right now. He's beaten Roman Reigns 2 or 3 times in a row. Everything I'm telling you is what he told to Cena. The Miz called Cena the founding father of Suplex City, which is a really good jab if you know the background here. When Brock Lesnar came back, his first match was against John Cena. Actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. Somebody can correct me if they want to email the site or leave a comment. It was one of his first matches back, and that was when Suplex City started, in a sense, because John Cena was suplexed like 17 times in that match. So that's why the Miz is calling him the founding father of Suplex City, kind of like the origin of all that. Cena says Miz has a 0.00001 chance of beating Lesnar because he's sneaky and really good using his mind games. The Miz says that the reason why he's successful in the WWE is because he can cross lines that like guys like Cena won't cross. It's a pretty good character line for somebody who's sneaky and manipulative in the match. He's willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do, and that's why he's had the success that he's had. So Cena goes into Kurt Angle mode. He starts making matches and stipulations. He says tonight we ought to have Cena versus Miz, and the loser goes first into the Elimination Chamber. At the time, it seemed like a pretty big deal. We'll discuss later on how it really wasn't that big of a deal with what happens later on in the show. Cena gets jumped by the Miztourage. Miz accepts after Cena gets dropped. So here we got a guy down. Miz decides, okay, let's go ahead and do this. Angle makes it official. They're going to have a match right then, but he orders that the Miztourage has to leave the ringside. So the Miz loses that advantage. Let's go straight to the match. Miz is beating down Cena as we go to break, taking advantage of the fact that he's already down. I really like the Miz at this moment because he kept going for pins and Cena kept kicking out. And you could just look on Miz's face and you could tell that he was in a moment of desperation. It was a good sell for what's going on. This is how close I watched, guys. I looked at Cena and he had missed a spot where he was supposed to shave. He had like some hair right here. That's how dedicated I was this week at the show. And I put that in the notes.
HD.
Yep.
HD.
You won't get that kind of stuff with standard definition. It starts off very slow, and this is typical WWE. I feel like sometimes this is the kind of stuff that makes people turn the channel off. When guys are just holding chin locks and holding headlocks, and there's a slow, deliberate pace. And there's a purpose behind that. What they want to do is build up. You can't go for 20 minutes, do nothing but high spots, because you'll tire yourself out, and it won't mean anything. But, man, those first 5 to 10 minutes of a lot of matches are just agonizing to watch because they do the same thing in almost every match, except for like 5 ways and 4 ways, that kind of deal. Usually those have a little bit more energy. I found it interesting on commentary. They're still saying that Cena is a free agent, which means he could be on SmackDown, although he hasn't really. They also bring up that he's a part-timer, and this might be affecting him in his latest run. It's a sluggish match. There's sleeper holds. There's chin locks. And what was really noticeable is there's a point where The Miz has a chin lock on Cena, and Cena grabs the guy's arm and moves it down. And I thought, man, the believability right there, you just killed it. When a guy's got a tight grip on you and you can just take it and move it down so it's a little bit more comfortable to you, ridiculous. We go to a second commercial break. When we come back, Cena tries to do a Samoan drop, and this is reversed into a figure 4. Cena will reverse that into an STF, which is his submission move. I thought was interesting in this match is Cena held on to the STF, that submission move, even after the ref called for the rope break. He held it for 4 seconds, which is definitely a bad guy move and not a good guy move. He reversed the figure 4 again into the STF, and I thought what was interesting in commentary, Coachman says that The Miz has a great heart. Interesting take there, talking about a bad guy. They usually don't do that. Cena kicks out of the skull-crushing finale, and then he does an AA from the middle rope to get the win. And so Miz will be entering first, which seemed like a pretty big deal at this point. Jonathan Coachman, he came back to the WWE a few weeks ago. What do you guys think? What's that? Okay, I thought you said something, Chance. What do you guys think about Jonathan Coachman and just the announced crew that they have right now, with Booker T gone, Coachman added, and kind of like the dynamics of those 3 together? Chad?
I don't know. They got a lot of chemistry to still work out because Coachman will ask a question, and then what's his face, the main guy that mainly talks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he'll start analyzing the match. Like he's supposed to be doing. Coachman will ask the question, then they'll get back to his question 45 seconds later or something. It's kind of like, they got to work better together. And, they might, tap each other's hand or something. I'm about to ask a question. Shut up for a second, So.
Yeah.
But other than that, Coachman's he's good on camera. He's good. He's a good speaker. He talks well.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a hype guy, so I think he has a place. And I think, WWE sees potential there, but, they gotta work it out.
Chance?
I don't even know who you talk about. I don't listen to them guys. I don't know who their names are.
That's what
I
we're
wouldn't be able to
Three
pick them out
guys.
of a lineup.
They got 3
Casual.
guys
I
on
don't even
Raw.
know what you're talking about, man.
Casual.
Half the time I got the TV on, baby
John,
screaming.
don't even tell him, John. Just
Okay.
move
I
on.
don't even hear nothing.
My take on it is Coachman is 1,000 times better than Booker T, although Booker T had his moments where he'd give you some inside analysis of what's happening in the ring. There are things I like about what's going on with the announce crew. I'm going to point out later on. There was a moment where I forget what match it was, but a guy pinned somebody else, and Graves brought up that he thought that was a fast count. Now, think back to all of the other sports that we watch. College football, NBA, the announcer sometime will question the ref or the umpire. Well, I don't know about that. And to me, that adds a little bit more realism into it when you say, wow, that seemed like a quick count. And I like that. I hate, and I'm going to ruin this for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and apologize ahead of time because you won't be able to not hear this. With every impact, Cole or Corey Graves has to go, and they stop talking in the middle of a sentence Here's like a suplex. Oh. And I'm sorry, I just ruined the whole product for you because you'll be able to hear that every single
I
time
appreciate
now.
that. Now I got the opportunity every time it says it, and the uhs.
Yep. So you count that up, and I bet you with one match you're going to go over 20, 25.
Wow.
But that's kind of the dynamic. Coachman's always going to be an improvement. He's an established journalist. He's got the ESPN background. He's not just a run-of-the-mill wrestling announcer. So he brings that in. There's some changes that need to be made, but they may not ever be changed. But it's better. I'll say that much. So tonight they make an announcement. You got Sasha versus Bayley. Baylor, Wyatt, Hardy, and Apollo Crews. I really like the graphics on Monday Night Raw. You got those big pictures of the faces of all the wrestlers. Kind of gives it a nice touch for the evening. And I also like being told ahead of time at least some of the matches that are going to happen, so you are looking forward to it. Don't give me the whole show, but I do like you got Sasha and Bayley tonight. Okay, I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm going to be paying attention. It'll be at some point. And it keeps me interested in it. And then you're going to do Balor, Wyatt, Hardy, and the upcomer Apollo Crews. Those are two matches to look forward to. So then we go to Matt Hardy. In my opinion, with one of his best promos, Ash Woken Matt Hardy. Still not great. Chance, have you seen any of the Woken Matt Hardy promos? And if so, how do you feel about how this character is presented?
I did see this one this week. I think he plays it really well. I think his look is like mad scientist-y kind of look, and it kind of plays along with his shtick.
Good comparison. I like that.
I still think it's stupid, but I think they picked a really good guy to do what he's doing. I think they matched that up really well.
Well, the background here is that there is a wrestling organization. It's called TNA or Impact, one of the two. And he started this character, which was called Broken Matt Hardy, on there. But like the production was really low, and it was kind of campy, and it kind of had that cool effect to it. Like it looked like it was supposed to look. I don't think it's transitioned very well to the WWE because it's a high definition picture and it's got all the quality that you would have in any other thing. So it kind of loses that campy, I guess you say cultish kind of feel to it that people liked about the original one. Chad, your opinion of Woken Matt Hardy?
I think Chance kind of hit it. So it's kind of like Blair Witch at Universal Studios. It just don't work, kind of deal. I think, considering he's just Matt Hardy, I think that he's done pretty good. I mean, he's fighting some pretty significant matches, and he's got the whole little stick when he's in the match. Where do the fans start yelling when he's like pointing? We're doing the delete. It's goofy and stupid, and you got to have some of that because if everything's just serious and that's why New Day's so popular, or they were, and they're still kind of popular, but because they break up the monotony of like just fighting, So
yeah, I do like the delete a lot. I think that's pretty funny.
So the talk is, or the hope with a lot of people is that Matt Hardy and Wyatt will wind up together after all this is said and done as a tag team, which I think will be good because Matt Hardy on his own is kind of pathetic and sad in the ring. And I think he's a guy that can come in and give you 3 or 4 moves to kind of get the crowd going. After Bray Wyatt's been beat down, he reaches over, tag, and then he comes in. And I think it'll help Wyatt too. Wyatt really needs somebody to bounce off his things. If you're a cult leader and you have no followers, and you're very bad at your job. And I think he needs somebody there with him to play off of in that kind of way. And another thing they talked about that was a problem with this is in order for Wyatt to work and in order for Hardy to work, you have to have somebody else on the other side that he's going against that's normal to make it feel like this guy's crazy and this guy's scared of him. but neither one of these guys are scared of the other because they're both insane. Maybe when they join forces, it'll wind up working out a little bit better. Then you got the Good Brothers. And this is, I believe, the first time we see these stupid graphics on the screen that were on SmackDown. Somebody was like, hey, everybody likes them, so let's move them to Raw. And they're not paying attention to anything in order to get that. They got their eyes covered up. They're not looking at Twitter, not looking at Facebook, because everybody hates this. It's like high school kids who just found PowerPoint on their computer, and they're like, hey, we can slide the words up. Man, that's so cool. And you got the Nerdometer and the screen. I don't have as much problem with it because I think it's kind of hilarious that it ties back into the guy's gimmick. But then the other writing appears across it. It's just like, dude, maybe I'm just old and there's like 10 and 12-year-olds out there that think that's so cool. I don't.
I missed all that. I haven't seen any of the screenwriting yet.
It's all over SmackDown last week and this week, and now Raw has incorporated it on their show. It's really annoying to see. Chad, have you seen what I'm talking about? Okay.
TGB and Revival. I mean, it's just piss break. I mean,
yeah. Well, after
I didn't even see that fight.
Did you watch it on Hulu? They take out certain stuff.
They take out the crappy fight.
I'm going to tell you all about it now. After this promo, and they called the Revival nerds. They go to commercial break. Out comes Gallows and Anderson, and they take out, I believe it's Gallows' knee, and that becomes a big emphasis in this match. It's kind of like the trademark WWE thing right now. We get an injury, and in every match, the other person attacks that. So the Revival do that. The match eventually starts, and Cole's building both of them up, which is really good, but they have to stick to it, and they have to define why we should care about these characters. So we'll talk about that in a second. The fans chant nerd with each punch in the corner, which I thought was kind of cool. Revival take out the knee again. We go to commercial break, come back. There's even more focus on the knee. So the deal here is Revival is like old school, what you'd find on NWA, AWA, WCW, kind of like that old style. And so they're doing things that the original tag teams kind of did. Anderson gets the hot tag in. I can see in him he's a very good wrestler. He's egging on the crowd. So the Good Brothers, they've kind of turned into good guys over the last couple of weeks. But the Revival do their move called the Shatter Machine. If you hadn't seen that, go look at them on YouTube, guys. It's a really cool finisher. I like it. And what I really enjoyed about this, although you say bathroom break, to me it's you got to have these small stories that are brewing where guys just don't like each other, but they're not going to be in the championship scene, and it's got to fill time. You got 3 hours, and it can't all be title contention matches. You got to have some type of mini stories developed. Now, you can make the case that they could do a better job of developing these stories, but I think that's where we are with this.
I think they can wrestle pretty dang good. It's just, they're just not dynamic to me, so, which is fine. Like you said, everybody can't be dynamic. Everybody can't be the quarterback. You know what I mean? Somebody's got to be the lineman, the running back or whatever. So it makes sense. It's just for a casual, it is what it is,
The WWF WWE, they have a difficult job. Nobody analyzes Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad the way wrestling fans analyze the program. And hardly anybody is like a casual fan of those shows. You care about those shows, and you're almost everybody's kind of in the same standard. Not so with wrestling. So they have a difficult job to try to appeal to everybody. But do you guys see any hope in the Revival long term? I think, Chad, that you kind of alluded to that in your response. Can you add to it? Do you see any hope in the Revival as a team and as characters on this show?
I mean, I think they could be something, but it's going to come from somebody else not being something. You know what I mean by that? So
Yeah.
they're
Somebody's got
good.
to
Like I said,
somebody's got to go down for them to go up. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. I mean, they don't. Nobody has to get hurt necessarily, but maybe there's some issues with somebody, or maybe one of somebody's tag team partners gets hurt, and so the Revival gets a title shot out of nowhere. Who knows? But they're probably going to lose that title shot.
Yeah.
But maybe not. So I mean, it'd be fun for them to do some stranger stuff like that. Let one of them hold it for a week and then lose it. A lot of times they don't like to do it because once tag team champion, so they don't want to just throw it out too easy. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's good to have them, but you got. I mean, I see what you're saying. They're a necessary need. They're a necessary. I say evil, but you know what I mean. Like necessary. You got to have them. I mean, you can't have just 20 rock stars. You got to have some people at the bottom trying to get up.
Some roadies. Chance, what you think, bro?
Actually, I haven't seen the Revival at all anytime I've ever watched it, but I like their name. And from what y'all talk about, they seem pretty good. But this kind of goes back to what I have discussed with y'all before, that I feel like wrestling could do better at the guys that aren't in the spotlight all the time, like the Revival, randomly winning the tag team championship for like Chad said, for a week or a few weeks, even though it might have been some gimmicky something, but it happened. And just like in pros and in football and baseball, there's a Cinderella story out there almost weekly. So I don't see why they can't do that a little more in wrestling. I know they do some, but
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with like people going through slumps.
Right.
If you're a batter, you go out there guns blazing in August, the early part of the year, and then you have a slump in the middle of the season. And they can emphasize that so much. If you do that, then people don't lose their luster, so to speak, because they wind up losing. And some people get hot. That's something they ought to emphasize too. The Revival come in and they're just on a roll. And people are worried about wrestling them because of how hot they are. You just don't see it, and hopefully they'll turn to that in the future. I like where you're coming from there, Chance. All right, so they kind of do a recap of the Bar Shield match last week. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it, Chad, but you had Rollins and Reigns. He was filling in for Jason Jordan, who was hurt and couldn't wrestle that night. And we know the backstory is that he has a neck injury. He won't be wrestling for a while. Rollins got another partner. It was Reigns. They're going up against the Bar, and this is like a match for the championship. Kurt Angle tells Rollins, this is your last chance at beating the Bar. And Jordan comes out, and he kind of interferes in the match and causes them to get disqualified. And so that's kind of like the recap leading into Angle coming out and talking about talking about Jason Jordan. He makes the announcement Jason Jordan won't be back until after WrestleMania, and the fans start cheering this. And you're just like, oh, yeah. But he's a bad guy, and so they're kind of supposed to boo bad guys or get excited. But I think cheering a guy getting hurt a little too far. Right. And Kurt Angle thinks the same thing. Kurt Angle's like, shame on you. I know you probably don't like Jason Jordan, my son, but he, to cheer him getting hurt, that's just wrong. And Kurt's kind of bumbling through this whole discussion and about other events. Rollins, thank God, comes out to interrupt him. And it's just like, oh, thank God, that part's over with. Ron comes out and he says, look, I might be out of the tag team scene, but I want to get a shot at the WWE title. And the only way I can do that is to become part of this match later on in the night. Angle's like, I could give you another tag team shot. And he's like, no, I don't want that. I want to go for the belt. And that's got to happen tonight. And what I love is, to me, in my mind, just like that, Rollins became a main eventer again. Maybe it's just because I was in a good mood or everything. But while he was doing his thing in the tag team scene, I didn't feel that way about him. He comes out there, and after a few minutes of promo and me listening to him and where he's coming from and what he's ready to do, that's all it took. And I'm right on board again with Seth Rollins. Did either of you get a chance to hear this particular segment?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Chance. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw it. I agree with Kurt in saying that, I don't think should be cheering injury of any kind, much less a neck injury. If it's a sprained hamstring or something, that'd be one thing, or torn pec or something. But this guy's neck's getting surgery on it. It's kind of a serious injury. So I feel bad for the guy. Yeah, it's kind of low down for them to be booing him. But I also agree that it was a breath of fresh air when Rollins walked out there, just because Kurt does bumble through those speeches he has. Yeah, they're rough. But I kind of like it. I think it's funny. I think it's good for his character. He's kind of like the old dad that kind of starts talking with the young kids and ends up saying stuff he don't know he's talking about or something. But I like Rollins back in the action by himself. I felt with him kind of the way I felt with Kevin Owens. Whenever him and Sammy got together, Kevin Owens went to crap, and whenever Rollins stopped being by himself, I didn't even know he was still wrestling, hardly. So, which I know he was a hiatus for a while, but yeah, it's nice to see him back in action by himself. I think they did the right move there. I'm looking forward to that going forward.
I think more so now than ever in the WWE, you're going to have 5 or 6 people at the top that you believe can beat any of the other guys. Because as we've seen, injuries can totally derail plans. And if you're just thinking, I'm going to push this one guy, then you're going to wind up screwing up because it's a good chance that they're going to get hurt. So you need to have a whole group that you can push in there if you need to in the last second. Yeah. All right, so next we go to a Bray Wyatt promo. He's in a dark, mysterious place. Roman Reigns. Oh, yeah, he's in it. Was he in the Fatal 5-Way? No, he's already in it. Finn Balor. You got no chance of winning. Matt Hardy. You got no shot. Actually, none of you have a shot, and you're all garbage. I won it last year. I won the title in the Elimination Chamber. That's pretty much what it was.
There's great lighting there, John. Great lighting.
Thank you. It probably jacked me up the rest of the time, but I had to do that. That was the Bray Wyatt promo, and that's pretty much what he does every single week. So I'm not gonna waste a lot of time unless one of you guys is hardcore Bray Wyatt. You can speak now, but pretty much would. Okay. So the match we've been looking forward to seeing. Before we even start talking about Sasha and Bayley as casual fans, when I watched this as a hardcore, I thought, why are we having this match on a Raw? Why don't we build this up and say at Elimination Chamber, we're going to see Sasha and Bayley get it on, but no. But I was totally interested in this match for sure. Do you guys think this is a match that's kind of wasted on a throwaway Raw that we're not going to think about a whole lot in the future? Chad?
I don't like Bayley, so.
You son of a.
What don't you like?
Yeah, good question.
She's pretty much John Cena of the women's. But I mean, that don't really have nothing to do with it. I just don't like her. I mean, she's just average. So I mean, it's just I don't really have nothing to say exactly about it, but I just don't think she's an elite women's wrestler. That's just me, though. That's just me. To me, she's like JV. So.
Yeah, and based on what we've seen in WWE, like the main roster show, I totally agree with you. If I didn't have perspective on what happened in NXT, I would say this girl doesn't belong here. Chance.
I mean, like I'm just
go
saying,
ahead,
if you had like a top 10 women's, she might would sneak to like 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
So did Randy Orton.
So, huh?
Yeah.
I said so
What's he
did
talking about,
Randy
Randy
Orton.
Orton?
Yeah, he was in the top 10.
But
You don't know
Randy
about that,
Orton
do you?
was a, you know, was a champion for like 5 years, so you can't even. It ain't even close. But I'm just saying, like, she's just kind of there. I think she, it was going to be a decent match. It looked like Sasha to me just really wasn't wanting to be there for whatever reason. But and then Tia showed up, or Nia Jax showed up. But anyway, I mean, it was an okay match. I think it needed to be stopped, to be honest. So I'm kind of glad she came in. I didn't feel much for it. It was kind of slow and really didn't get going. But maybe they're wanting to throw it in a real, you know what I mean, like a maybe not pay-per-view, but another night to where they can really get going. But I don't know. I thought it was like a throwaway match in a way. I did watch it, but it wasn't very long. So.
All right. Just before you begin, on the Bailey situation and her being not a top quality wrestler, one of Steve Austin's favorite matches is Sasha versus Bailey in NXT. It's one of the takeovers that they had 2 or 3. It's like one of his favorite matches, and he gets Sasha Banks on his show, and he's just salivating over that match between the two of them. They go play by play of that match on it.
Yeah, but how did that match compare to this one Monday night?
Yeah, so I'm saying Bailey's been beat down. You got to have something built in before a match starts, and we had a little bit of that with Bailey and Sasha, but you have to totally ignore the last 7 to 12 months of what's happened to be like, oh yeah, now we're getting back to it. No, Bailey's been pinned all the time.
Yeah,
Sasha has lost constantly. Whenever
Sasha's
they
had her
wanted
moments, but
yeah. But whenever they had a time where they want somebody else to be like a person on a pay-per-view, let's get her in a match with Sasha. One, 2, 3, and that's it. And she's ruined. Same thing with Bailey. Chance, was this match wasted on a Raw from your perspective, or is it something that you really enjoy and you're glad that it's on Raw?
So both. I agree that it was wasted in that before I heard y'all talk, I liked the match a lot. I like Bailey a lot, but at the same time, I really liked it being on Raw just because it was, to me, a really good match. I like Sasha and Bailey. I think they're both good wrestlers. I hate that Bailey, they did to her what they did to her after she came in, and which, I mean, she came in hot. Maybe she went through a slump there for 7 months. A little long of a slump. But I don't know. I mean, I really enjoyed watching it. I thought it was really good. I'm with you. They could have built it up a little more. But I'm glad they put it on Raw. But at the same time, they could have built it up a little more and did it in the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Well, let's go through the match. Sasha is healing it up in this match. She's showing a whole lot of bad girl tendencies. I want to say bad guy, but you get what I'm saying here. Sasha's booed in Bailey's hometown. Now, this was a good idea. This is Bailey's hometown, and they said Sasha wanted to be here so she could beat Bailey in her hometown. I like that angle. Now, behind the scenes, it's also good too, because Bailey is nowhere near as popular as Sasha anywhere else in the country. But she just may get cheered a little bit harder than Sasha in this type of setting in Orlando. And thank God it happened, because Bailey is the baby face in this match, and Sasha is the bad guy.
You're saying for them to push Sasha down maybe a little bit and make her kind of a bad guy, they made this match happen in Bailey's hometown because they knew she would be booed. You know what I mean? So
And
I see the angle you're saying.
They're trying to twist over Sasha into a bad guy, and that might be some of the things you were seeing, like looks like she doesn't want to be there because she's trying to transition into without going full-fledged bad guy. I'm easing over there. And at the end of this match, we'll get into it in a second because I want to talk about another thing that kind of led to some tension here. So Sasha's healing it up. Sasha's booed in Bayley's hometown. And I feel like the purpose of this match was to get Sasha over as a heel or just plant the seeds. Things heat up after the commercial break. Beforehand, I thought, oh, this is like the Miz and John Cena match. But when we come back, it's awesome. I loved the camera angle on an elbow drop that Bayley was trying to put on Sasha. We never saw Sasha in this shot. We just saw a close-up of Bayley. Here comes down with the elbow drop, and at the very last second, we finally get an image of Sasha. She moves out of the way, bam, and it is a beautiful camera angle. I'll give WWE props. When they're on their game, they make this product really fun to watch. So there was another point in this match where Bayley looked like she got her head kicked off. And so I would rewind it and watch it again, and it looked just as violent the first time. Let me go back and pause it at the right time. Just great selling, which we saw last week. If you get a chance, Chad, go back and watch Sasha and Asuka. Dear Lord, what a match. I think they got some time cut off this match because of other things, but it kind of ends abruptly. You got the belly to Bayley or something like that. It's her finisher where she kind of like hugs her and then spins her over and drops her on her back. But she did this from the second rope, so there's more emphasis. After the match, Sasha's got that pissed look on her face like, dang it, I wanted to beat this. And it looked like almost there'd be a time where she would hit Bayley. And Bayley comes in slowly, wants to handshake or wants to hug. And out of nowhere, boom, you got Nia Jax knocking both of them over in a brutal attack. Yes, freight train. And I love Nia's look here. Like, I don't give an F about y'all's moment you're just having right here. And I don't care that everybody in this building wanted to see it happen. I'm the main attraction here. Then later on, she got on the microphone and ruined whatever she had gained in there because of her horrible voice. So she just did something really cool, and she's walking up, and it's like, Nia, would you like to talk about the thing that you just did? And it's like, get out of here, interviewer. Let this
that
woman.
was stupid, but I loved Nia's response to her.
Yeah.
I thought Nia was going to rip her head off.
Mm-hmm. What are you saying, Chad?
They got to stop asking, like, stupid, obvious questions, you know?
Yeah.
Tell us what just happened. It's like, well, you just saw it. You
know? Do you guys like the addition of Nia Jax to what's happening here? Or would you have preferred it stayed separate and you got Bayley and Sasha maybe going up against each other again in a pay-per-view match or something like that? Chance, what do you think? Or go ahead, Chad, since you're ready.
Well, I was gonna say, I think that's why they did it. They didn't want somebody to have an edge, you know. Because if Sasha beats her, then the next time they fight, well, Sasha should win. She beat her one-on-one last time. Now it's like it's still even. You know, that's why you do stuff like this, because you want to prolong the real fight. At some point, there'll be a real one-on-one fight with no gimmicks, and then that's the winner that they really want to push.
Yeah.
Okay? As of right now, they kind of just want to build a storyline. So that's what they did.
Chance, what you think, bro?
I like the I used to hate Nia Jax, but this one episode made me like her. I loved it.
Okay, good deal. So, when we come back from a commercial break, they showed you exactly what just happened. So, it all happened before a commercial break. They showed you a replay of it. You go to commercial break, and when you come back, they show everything that happened, and then also her doing the interview again. But this time, what they do is they pop words up on the screen as she says it. So it's emphasized. Like, oh my, come on.
I must have missed that part. I miss the words on the screen every time.
You're better off. And then we have a bar shield segment. This was so bad. The only thing that was good about this segment is the line that Cesaro had that you couldn't understand because you got some braces in, and you just can't.
Yeah.
What's saying? But after rewinding a couple of times, he says that Seth is a crappy partner, and he bets that Dean Ambrose and Jason Jordan, are bonding in a therapy room somewhere because of how bad Seth is. In other words, he's so bad at his job as a tag team partner, both of his partners have got hurt. There's a lot of talk here that's not
Which
even
is a
worth
valid
it.
point.
Yep. There's a lot of talk back and forth that's not very worthwhile. And he's like, at the end of it, right before they get a commercial, it's Seth Rollins trying to get out one more parting shot. And he's like, nice kill. And it commercial, like, it's so stupid. No, it's nice skirt. It's like, come on, guys. Think about what you're going to do here.
Hey, John.
Yes.
John, way off topic.
Go ahead.
Like, way off, like, so far off topic. It's funny, but who is the guy with the long, dark hair that sits
Bray
in the
Wyatt?
stands? Tell me you know what I'm talking about. He was at Raw and Smackdown.
Is he like Bray Wyatt with a cap on?
No, he's in the
No,
stands.
straight
He's
hair.
a fan.
Straight black hair.
Like,
Like
Like
literally,
she straightens it with a straightener.
no, he wasn't at Raw this week. He was at Smackdown this week.
They got these weirdos, man. They got weirdos. They go to every show.
He was at Raw when Sasha and Saka played.
Asuka. That's your homework for this week is to learn how to pronounce her
No,
name.
man.
Right.
I'm the casual. I'm reading their names. I don't,
Yeah.
you know.
I don't know who you're talking about specifically, but I know that there's a guy that's.
Let me see if I can show a picture of him. Hang on.
There's a guy that's like Macho Man. You find that. I'm going to keep going, and when you're ready, you just say something. They do words on the screen. I think this is where they did the Nia Jax thing. I really want to talk about this Asuka promo video. Oh my gosh. You know, as you guys know, I'm a huge Asuka fan, but these are the things that get people hyped. You drop these kind of things and it just psychs everybody up. I cared about this so much. I wrote down everything that they said about in this segment, or at least the numbers. So she hasn't lost in 860 days. She has 200. She has 240 wins in the WWE. So I want you to think about that. WWE just they 50-50 book everybody, which means, hey, guess what? It's your week to lose. Next week you'll win against the same person that you lost to, and it won't mean anything. But that's what's going to happen from now on. You'll win, then they'll win, then you'll win, and then at the end of it, nobody is better than the other person. Not so with Asuka. She hasn't lost in 160 days. She won 240 straight matches. This was against 34 different women that she went up that she had a title match against, I believe. Her wins have spanned 4 continents. She has wrestled and won in 11 countries. Biggest number. 523 days as champion. She won the Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble in the same year. She's the goosebump inducer. She's a butterfly causer. I love Asuka. Chance, tell me how you feel about Asuka, and it better be good. Go ahead.
I mean, I dig her. I like I love the promo. I wish they would do that with somebody like every week, like highlight somebody every week, which obviously they're not going to have the track record she does.
Yep.
But, you know, it lets us get to know us casuals, get to know, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say,
the backstory.
Yep.
Yeah, like their whole
history.
legacy of of the wrestlers. And see what they're really about. Like there was a guy wrestling in SmackDown this week that had like a big losing streak going. So, I mean, stuff like that is you're not going to care about every one, but it's interesting to find out. I liked it. I liked that a lot, and I like Asuka. I didn't realize that she had been on such a tear. I mean, I knew she was undefeated in WWE, but I didn't realize it had been that much wrestling that she had done.
The cool thing about this, Chad, before you speak about it, is think about that moment where somebody puts her down for a 3 count. Whoever that is automatically the greatest of all time because they're going to pin her. That's the great thing about this. She's building up to be an icon, and then somebody's going to come in there, maybe Sasha, Bailey, I don't know who, but they're going to wrestle her, and they're going to get a piece of that shine that she's had for so long. Chad, did you find the picture? If not, can you give us an opinion on the Oscar promo? The Asuka promo?
I thought the promo was cool. Like Chance said, it was different. It ain't, the normal stuff they show. Usually they don't even talk about people's history, matches. Like it was kind of neat to see that. But they're trying to push her. They're trying to make her, the next. I say Brock Lesnar, but I like Goldberg. How he went on the streak forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like you said, whoever they want to push next, it's going to be real easy just to beat her and then do it.
Mm-hmm. That match is going to be epic because it's going to be like 16 different 2 counts. And Asuka's going to be putting a submission move, and she won't give up. And then at the end, it'll be 1, 2, 3, and the whole place will go crazy.
And it could be her first loss is a gimmick loss, too. Don't let that happen. That might happen.
Mm-hmm.
Where her legacy ain't hurt really at all. And then somebody else is still the champion, though. Maybe somebody messes with her. Who knows,
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do women matches like, no holds bar women matches much at all. So, but they could do something like that and her get crushed with a chair or something, and she'd lose that way or something. But anyway, I mean, I like her. She's not my favorite. She's not, but I see her. But I see her, why people like her. I think she's good for the sport. I think she's good for WWE. So we can't like all the same people, or this show wouldn't be any good.
True.
Have her and Becky Lynch?
It's probably not. It's not any good anyway.
I don't know. If they did, it was the NXT. Yeah, yeah. And thank God we got some difference of opinion on here. So next we have Titus Worldwide in a backstage segment. It's Apollo Crews, Titus O'Neil, and Dana Brooke, who for some reason has joined this posse. And Crews does like a cringeworthy, like he did puns in response to everybody else that was in the match. Titus would go, "What do you think about Finn Balor?" He did something that was supposed to be clever, but it didn't come off that way. But Dana Brooks at the end of the match, at the end of this whole segment, says, "I've crunched the numbers, and Crews can't lose." Thought was pretty catchy. Might make a good shirt for Apollo Crews. Crews can't lose, and so that's gonna. All of the people involved in this match do their own little promo for that match later on. At least you can see some type of investment in each one of them. Then you had Mickey and Alexa Bliss versus Absolution, and that's going to be Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. So the backstory here is Bliss is trying to get on Mickey's good side, even though she treated her like trash last year, because she wants to have some help in the Elimination Chamber. But Mickey's not having any of this back and forth between the two of them. And in this match, I think Mickie James is the one that stood out the most. I like Sonya Deville. Me and Darcy were watching this, and I was like, she's moving too quick. Like she came down to the ring a little too fast. Usually people slow down so they kind of stand out. We didn't see it in this case. She ran about as fast as she could. She's got a lot of energy. She just needs to, it's like being on stage in a drama. You feel like you're going too slow, but that allows you to kind of like put a little emphasis on what's going on. And so it's a back and forth match. Decent, I guess we should say. One cool thing I saw Alexa Bliss does when her trademarks is she will step on the hair of whatever the girl is and then grab her arms and pull up. So basically pulling her hair in the process. It's a nice little bad guy kind of move. Mickie James, like I said, looked really good in this match. And it ended with Mandy Rose doing her finisher, which I encourage you to check out. I can't really describe it. She hooks the person's arms and holds them up forever and then drops them on their face. It's a decent little move. At the end, we see Alexis kind of helping out Mickey James, who's getting the crap beat out of her, and that kind of added to that whole story. Let's see here. I expect you guys don't have a whole lot of opinion on this. Have you watched it all?
And did you think that Mickey James, when you saw her in the Royal Rumble, would continue fighting without knowing backstory or nothing? Did you really think?
I don't remember her,
She would come in.
I don't remember her doing a lot in Royal Rumble, but she's been wrestling on SmackDown frequently for like the last 2 or 3 years. Most of her matches
You
are
know what
decent.
I'm saying, though? Like, now she's like every week.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that is, but see, the women, they're trying to find somebody that's catching fire. I think they're like searching. You know, they got Flair, they got Asuka, but that's about it. You know, there's a bunch that are good, and there's a bunch people like, but I think they're just trying to throw people out there. Let's see what fans think, see how good they wrestle. I actually think Mickey James brings a lot of energy when she fights. But
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Mickey James is kind of like that veteran right now that's good enough in the ring to where she's not embarrassing herself, and it's also really good for the other girls who get to wrestle with somebody who has a lot of experience in and out of the WWE. So it's pretty good on her. Chance, you got any thoughts on this?
No, sir.
Good deal. Chance, you got to answer this next question. Do you want to walk with Elias?
I don't even know what that means. I'm a
There
little
you go.
confused by that question. But yes, I like Elias, so I will walk with him.
Okay. So
As long as
this
it's
guy,
not to break a guitar over my man Braun.
yeah. Well, this guy was celebrating the fact that he beat John Cena and Braun Strowman in the same night. Then he gives like an awesome song, at least at the start of it. I thought it was really cool. I won't sing it to you, but I want to go over the words because I thought it was pretty interesting. Some of the little digs he came up
Come
with.
on, John.
6 men enter, but only one really leaves. It ain't going to be the big dog because nobody believes. That's a play on his phrase, Roman Reigns' phrase. Believe that.
Right.
As for the Miz, he should watch his step and stick to Miz TV. Remember those songs I wrote, Miz? They weren't for you. Those were for Maurice. Like, woo!
Good, Marie.
That's his wife. That's the Miz's wife.
Okay.
I smashed John Cena with the guitar, and the only thing that John Cena can't see is the future is right here. And he kind of lost himself at that line because the crowd started making this noise like they knew something was happening in the shadows. So his lines, they got all messed up here. Braun Strowman, again, you raise your hands and say your name. But I'm going to douse your dreams in gasoline and watch it go up in flames. Then there's a moment that's about the most insane moment that's ever been in wrestling. We go from that, we hear, ladies and gentlemen, Braun Strowman. And I have no idea what's going to happen after that. I'm sure you guys are right there too. Like, what's. And the spotlight is turned on the big man who's sitting in a chair. At that point, Chance, what were you thinking as the light shined on Braun Strowman sitting in a chair? Your initial reaction?
I was hoping that he was going to play that bass and sing something. That's my immediate reaction. And I was going to love every second of it. I still loved every second of it.
Yep.
Of what actually happened, but that would have been hilarious.
Chad, did you get a chance to watch this particular part of the show?
Yeah, it's hilarious. When it shined on him, I just started laughing, because you'd have never thought that Braun would have went for that, much less.
It's like Bizarro World. It's like
it was like hilarious though.
John Cena being a bad guy and the Miz being a good guy, and then Braun. And at first I was like, no, don't do this to this guy who's supposed to be a murderer. But it was awesome.
No, I thought it was good. I know what you're saying. You'll keep the edge, You never saw Undertaker do something like that, but he's no Undertaker. Let him pave his own way, you know.
And the other thing
I
too,
think it was good.
after I watched this and I really did some reflection, you can't survive as a character every week and going and like knocking something over. We all like that. We enjoy seeing Kane get killed and something dropped on top of Brock Lesnar. But you can't survive as a character, and that doesn't make good TV when that's all that you do. So we needed to add a new dimension to Braun Strowman. Might have been too much too soon, but it was still hilarious and cool that we saw like another part of this character.
Did you notice he broke it?
Yes. He brings out it's called something else, not called a cello, but it's very close to that. I've read somebody say it was called something different, like it really matters. But he starts playing it, winds up breaking the thing as he plays. It's like, well, I can't play the song, so all I got left to do is to go over there and give you these hands, which is an awesome phrase. Oh my Lord. The fans just completely lost it. There's times where fans are like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm really enjoying the show. Then there's moments like this when you are stunned at what you're seeing in front of you, and it was just awesome. Now, what can't be lost in this situation is Elias. He is so awesome. For being in the WWE for not very long, he did have an independent career. But, man, I just love what he does. Braun gets the cello, or whatever that's called, and instead of having a moment of fear, Elias is like, I'm kind of interested about what's to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is going to be interesting. And so eventually we get Braun Strowman brings the cello down to the ring, and they make their way back up to I'm trying to remember how this all went down. Maybe you guys can remember for me. But Braun Strowman winds up crushing Elias with the cello. He did it on the side I didn't think he was going to do it on. He did it on like the inside with like the cords.
Yeah, I don't understand how it didn't hurt. Yeah.
And Elias, God love him. He laid still what seemed like 30 minutes. It's like he just died right there.
What happened was Braun was up. He chokeslammed him. And then Braun started just doing his little hand-raising yell or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Elias was crawling out of the whole place. So he's crawling.
Yeah.
And so he grabs the thing and walks up there where he's crawling, and that's when he does it.
He's playing with the playing to the fans, looking at him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't think he was going to actually hit him with it the way he hit him with it.
God. So. And like I said, Elias sold it well. Imagine being in that story writing committee, and you're the guy that raised his hand. How about we get Braun Strowman to sing a song this week? Get out of here, Ted, you jackass. No, I'm serious. And he finally gets pushed through to doing this, and the fan reaction, he shows up next week. What do you think, guys?
Triple H is like, let's hear him out, guys. Let's hear him out.
It's like, if this don't work, Ted, you're fired. That's great. So anyway, just an awesome moment. And then we have a selfie promo by Balor, and we've seen this a couple of times with the superstars. It's appealing to another generation. It's appealing to your generation, Chance, the millennials, who have nothing better to do than show videos and this stuff. Does it appeal to you that people do videos on Facebook where they put the camera up to themselves and talk about stuff like that? Kind of like what we're doing here. That appeal to you?
Depends on what it is.
It's just a way for fans to interact. They're trying to do that with the Facebook matches and stuff. I don't see a problem with it. They're trying to embrace technology. But social media.
It's worth it to me to not like this, and somebody else who turns on wrestling, but that's pretty cool. And it's a little bit for everybody. That's the way it's got to be. All right, Reigns versus Sheamus. I didn't really know this match was going to happen until it happened, so maybe I really wasn't paying attention. Just a few things to take away from this match. I have 2 sentences of notes. The fans are into it, and Reigns is so awesome at body language. He's one of the best at either selling he's kicking your tail or selling that he's getting his tail kicked. There's not too many people that are better than him, and there may be Sasha Banks, but there's not too many who are on his level. Did either one of you watch this match? Maybe you have a little bit more to add to this discussion than what I have.
I watched it a little bit. I thought the spear he did when Sheamus jumped off the
Oh,
top rope was amazing.
it was nasty.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't have wanted to be on either side of that. So, props to them for going all out on that.
Chad, any thoughts? Okay. Moving on, we find out that Ivory's been added to the Hall of Fame, and she joins Goldberg and Dudley's. And every week leading up to, WrestleMania, we'll hear another name that's being added. Ivory comes from a time period that I really wasn't watching wrestling, and obviously neither one of you two are watching it, but she's pretty good. And she was part of the original group, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Either one of you have Netflix?
Yeah.
They have a really good show on there about Glow. It's like a whole season. I recommend watching it. She was one of the original girls that was on that show, and she came to WWE and brought her own style. But that's about all I know of her, really. All right, main event of Raw: Wyatt versus Balor versus Hardy versus Seth Rollins, who's been added, versus Apollo Crews. This match was really, really good, as all these matches usually are. It's hard to do these matches bad because every guy only has to worry about a short amount of time, and they get all their high spots in when that's happening. And it's most of the time it's happening out of nowhere. Bray Wyatt gets kicked out of the ring. Two other guys are doing it, and he sneaks back in and does one of his moves. So you never know where people are coming from and what's going on. I thought everybody looked good in this match. Seth murdered Matt from the top rope. I hate suicide dives, though. Seth Rollins basically did every single side of the ring, and I don't like his to be. I don't like his necessarily because it's like he lunges out and he takes his hands and he pushes the guy. Yeah. There's no impact. It's more like, whoa.
I thought it was stupid to do all three sides. I was about to mention that. Like, that was the worst part of the match, but.
And usually he gets this stupid running start, like hopping, and then you start running. It's like, dude, you're a grown man.
Yeah, it don't look that good when he does it. That's for sure.
Nope.
But anyway, I thought Cruz played. I thought he fought real good. I mean, for a second there, it was like, is he gonna beat Rollins here doing two of his backflips? I'm like, because I thought he wrestled really good. You can see he's really athletic and fit, and he's a good wrestler. But he's lacking the charisma, but they can work with him. So, I thought Hardy played pretty good. He was kind of, he, like you said, he hit his spots and then he was kind of out, and then he'd hit his spots and out. So, but I kind of knew who was going to be at the top at the end. We knew Hardy and Cruz wasn't going to win. Bray, we thought might have a shot, but we all kind of knew it was going to be Seth Rollins or Finn Balor. So, and that's what it was. Actually, both of them. So, do you think they're actually going to add another guy, or just let them fight next week?
No, it was already announced. Rollins is in it. Chance, midway through this match, do you have any thoughts before I continue on?
No, I was watching that match right as I was going to sleep. I was kind of in and out. I was watching it, so I didn't really pay attention to it a ton.
All right. Wrestling's all about investment, and these guys who come in, they got to, if you're going to believe even halfway in the character, they got to be even more than 100%. And this Titus Worldwide thing, it's not catching on for me like they probably want it to, but all of them believe in it. And I can appreciate that. There's a moment where Apollo Crews is going for a pin. It's 1, 2, kick out. And Titus O'Neil's on the top in the outside of the ring, leaning in, and he's not leaning in like he's want to interfere. He's just so excited about what's happening. The referee's like, all right, you got to get down. But little things like that, knowing that Titus is 100% involved in it, nothing else is going on. This is his boy. He knows he's going to lose. But that moment, he hops up on the ring like, yeah. Oh, and he gets back down. I love stuff like that. There's a little bit of hiccup in these kind of matches. It happens frequently where they're waiting on somebody who's basically laying on the floor mat, waiting for his next turn. They have to be like, Rollins. And in this case, let's see, it was Cruz and Hardy on the top rope, and they were waiting for somebody to come. I believe it was Rollins. And they were up there for a long time with not really doing anything. Maybe it was Bray Wyatt. Anyway, at the end of this match, you had Balor and Rollins both winning. They both did a version of their finishing move, and they pinned Bray Wyatt. Each one grabbed the leg. Referee counted 3. We went off there not knowing what the heck's going to do, what's going to happen in this situation. I thought it was a pretty good show all the way. I did have one question for you guys about cliffhangers at the end of the show. This is the first time we've seen one in a long time. Does this do anything for you as a casual fan? Or you like, I don't know what's going to happen. I got to tune in next week to find out what happened. What do you think, Chad?
Well, you heard what I said.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to have to fight this week to see who would be the last one. So somebody who don't follow their Twitter or somebody that don't get on Reddit, I'm going to have to wait till Monday night at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock to figure out what the heck's going on. So, yeah, I mean, it's good and bad. Yeah. But, I mean, with technology today, if I really cared, I would just Google it like the next day and see what everybody's saying. But, like you said, a casual's not going to do that, which I didn't. So I'm just going to wait or hear it from you, and then you'll tell me.
Chance, does it do anything for you? I know that you probably didn't get a chance to see this, but just thinking about the concept of a show going off the air and you don't know what happened. Does that appeal to you, or would you prefer them to have some type of finality and an answer at the end of the show?
Man, I watch all kinds of shows that do that every week on a weekly basis. So I don't see a problem with it. I mean, it doesn't make it more exciting or less exciting for me. But I mean, I'm not bothered by it or anything.
Okay. Well, let's move on to SmackDown, a continuation of another great week of wrestling, in my opinion, better than last week for sure. I know we all had different takes on this week. I loved it, and SmackDown was good, in my opinion, except for a couple of spots. To start off the show, just the most insane and inane, whatever you want to call it, storyline that goes on. So you got Dolph Ziggler, who won the United States Championship a while back. I can't remember when it was, 6 weeks maybe. I don't know. It seems like it's longer than that. He wins it, comes out the next Tuesday, drops them the title in the middle of the ring, and says, "You guys don't deserve to see me." So what brings him back? A world title shot. And it doesn't make any sense. You had a title, you won a title, and you say you didn't care. So you left. Oh, what motivates you to come back? Oh, a title. So he comes out first, and what's supposed to happen here is he's supposed to have a match with Baron Corbin to determine who's going to get into the match that's going to be on the pay-per-view Fastlane. Right now it's AJ Styles and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, but they were going to add people to it. It didn't happen. That's because in the backstage area, we see this guy, the cameraman, running to what's happening, which I like, by the way. I don't like the idea of a cameraman just happened to be standing by when people get their tail kicked or when they start talking to each other. Yeah, we just got this guy who happens to be standing here when Seth Rollins is staring off in the distance and fixing it, and here comes the big dog. Oh, hey, Roman, how you doing? That's not reality. But in this case, it was pretty cool because you got the cameraman running up like, hey, Ted, get out there. Or Bill, get out there. Something's happening. And they see Corbin.
Him not coming out was pretty cool, like, what's going on?
Yep. Then you have Corbin getting his tail kicked. But here's a small little thing, and I'm all about small things in wrestling. He gets his tail kicked. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens go to leave. They kind of like look back in the corner of their eye, and Corbin's back up on his feet after getting jumped. and he gets a couple of licks in before they beat him down again. It's a small thing. You can just kick the crap out of Corbin and then walk away, and that's it. But this thing made Corbin look like a bad you-know-what because he got his tail kicked, got back up, and he was fighting again. Little things like that build character. Let's see, Cammy, which is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they stalk menacingly to the ring, and that's where Ziggler is. So they're all going at it. There was a moment where Sami Zayn is going around through the crowd, and Kevin Owens is going up to the ring. And what the purpose is they want to surround Dolph Ziggler. But Dolph Ziggler runs out almost full speed to try to meet Sami Zayn. When he's out in the crowd, this little girl just like, huh? And like wanders out in the middle of what's happening. And Ziggler has to like be gentle with her to kind of push her in the right direction, and then did get hit by Sami Zayn. It's a scary moment, in my opinion, because she almost got nailed in the midst of all that was going on. They go at it outside, and so they kick the crap out of him, Ziggler as well. There's an insane haluva kick. That's Sami Zayn's trademark. Used to be his finisher, but they changed that on the outside. Just a beautiful sell by Ziggler. If anything, Dolph Ziggler's good in the ring and getting his tail kicked. And I don't know why I like this, but I loved it. And I've seen Sami Zayn slowly transition as being like the guy behind Kevin to the guy that's in front of Kevin. Do you guys see that happening too? And follow-up question, is he moving up the ladder here? Is he becoming a main eventer in your eyes as you watch this show week by week?
I think I said this 2 weeks ago that Sami Zayn's a better wrestler right now than Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
He's got an awesome finisher. He's getting pretty good at like just being a jackass, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you got to have a few of those. And Kevin Owens was a good one, but he's kind of just. And then the match against Corbin, which we'll get to, is just, man, it was just not lacking any excitement for me. It didn't. So,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think you're right. Sami Zayn's definitely a step ahead of Kevin Owens right at the moment. Which I wouldn't have said that. You would have never thought I'd say that 6-8 months ago. I mean,
nope. So. Chance, what you think, bro?
I've always liked Sami Zayn. As far as being a good wrestler, I think he's really fun to watch in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say yes. I think he's starting to be on the forefront of that duo, and I would say I hope so, that he's going to start being more of a main eventer.
I think the only thing lacking with Sami Zayn, he has got a good character. He is awesome in the ring, probably one of the at least top 5. He's up there with AJ, and just really good at storytelling in the ring. There's one thing, and I feel like I'm being really shallow when I say this, but the body. But on the other side, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying I want some people who are aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. He doesn't have to change a lot, but maybe a little bit more definition up top and less of the gut, which is very, very small. And if you saw that in real life, you probably wouldn't think it was anything. No. But just a little change. And I think it could help him out long term in his career. But that's a lot of people on the show. Man, they just changed a little bit about them. They're probably main eventing pay-per-views.
Have you, while we're on like toning up or whatever, have you noticed Rusev's like more ripped than he was when he first came on?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was overweight a little bit when he first came on, wasn't he?
He's always been thick. He's always been thick, but man, this last year, he's still thick, but it's more defined. And not like in a John Cena over the top defined, like in a body that everybody wants, kind of like a meat, just thick. But yeah, I get what you're saying. He's been definitely not slimming up, but just defining his muscle tone. All right. So after all that happened, we get a replay of what just happened. It's so insane to me. I think they went to commercial break, came back. You never believe what just happened, even though you just watched it, or we thought you should have been just watching it. Now, this next match, I loved it. Chad, you hated it or didn't think it was so good. I'm interested to hear from you, Chance, after I describe what happened. Um, I've held back no punches when it comes to Sarah Logan. She is flat out awful when she's doing interviews. Just not good. And so far, I hadn't seen anything worthwhile from this character. But now they put her in the ring with Charlotte Flair. They could have done some more here to build this up or to make it more impactful. But I loved this. Sarah Logan comes out with her crew, which is the Riot Squad, Ruby Riot, and Liv. I forget the girl's last name. She's against Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch and Naomi come out, and they're playing second fiddle, which is ridiculous. They don't say a word. They don't really get involved in the match. They're out there for support, which makes them seem, in my opinion, to be under Flair. But Logan, man, she is so physical. Everything she does has so much impact behind it, and that's a quality that most women don't have. When women do impact moves in the wrestling ring, it's not like a big guy like 220 pounds doing it. It has less impact on the mat, so it doesn't sound as good. And I've heard too that it hurts them more than it men because they don't get as much bounce in the particular move. Logan, she's a brute. Everything she does looks like it hurts. When she did it to Charlotte Flair in this match, and I loved it. A cool part of this match was Sarah Logan tried to do that chop on the chest, like Ric Flair's did, and Charlotte Flair picked that up. She did it one time to Charlotte Flair, and she realized she made a huge mistake. It was like when you said that smart aleck remark to your dad, and as soon as the words left your mouth, you were just like, "Oh my God, what did I just do?" And that was the case here. She did a chop, didn't have any effect on Charlotte, and the announcers kind of built this up. And Sarah Logan's just like, "Oh God, what did I just do?" And then Charlotte just laid it in on her. I mean, it was like 20 chops to the chest. Really cool back and forth there. As I watched this, I couldn't tell if Logan was bad or she just good at making it look rough, because it did. It looked like this was a tough match. Logan does this weird crotch grab suplex, reaches under Charlotte between her legs, then grabs her by the waist, picks her up, and does a suplex. It looked really cool, but for a second they were like it's going to be a dangerous move. Charlotte eventually wins by natural selection. And in this process, Flair was trying to take on all three of the women. She beat, can't remember her name, unfortunately, the Liv something. Then this week she beat Sarah Logan, and up next is probably going to be Ruby Riot next week. A cool thing about the end of this is they show Riot on the at the top of the ramp, and she just has this look of dread, like, I know what's just about to happen. I know what's going to be happen. You know, I know what I have to look forward to next week, which I thought was pretty cool. Chad, what was wrong with Logan versus Flair? Why didn't you like this great match?
I just don't like Sarah. I just don't like her character. I don't know. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty much Braum or the other two brothers of Bray Wyatt or family, whatever. She's kind of like the backwoods, kind of like those were. You know, I get what they're doing with her. Mm-hmm. It just don't work for me. She just don't look like a wrestler to me. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, yeah, she's big enough to actually deal with like Charlotte, because when Charlotte fights some of these other girls that just don't, you know, like next week if she fights at
You're right.
Yeah, I mean it'll just be kind of awkward because she's like towers over.
Good point.
And I could see the other two getting involved next week and maybe just making a disqualification match, and then all 6 of them fight for a little bit. That could happen, just so there's still, well, at least she didn't beat her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I could see them doing that. We'll see what they do. But, yeah, man, I thought it was an okay match for a women's match. I mean, it was just it was a little awkward just because I think she's still so new to the ring. But
mm-hmm. At least it wasn't a 6-woman tag. Chance, what you think? Did you get a chance to watch this? And if you did, what do you think about Sarah Logan?
He might be gone.
Okay. Well, we'll keep going on. We heard your opinion on that. Next, we have Corbin and Owens. You had a down opinion of this. I liked it. There was I think Baron Corbin did his thing. It was a copy of somebody else from the past. But what he does is he's getting thrown into the turnbuckle. But what he does is slide under the bottom rope and around the turnbuckle and comes back up. And usually when he does that, he goes for a clothesline when he gets back into the ring. But Kevin Owens met him with a kick. And this caused him to stumble back. It looked natural that all this happened. He fell back into the perfect spot for the cannonball. Sometimes it just doesn't look like it's realistic for him to be put in this position. But he was stunned, and then Kevin Owens does his cannonball into the corner, which was pretty good. The crazy thing in this match, and I didn't think it was possible, but Baron Corbin's getting chance. Corbin. Like what's going on?
Kevin Owens is struggling.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Kevin Owens is a joke right now. I mean, I think
I'm
everybody
hoping
sees
he's
it.
injured.
They wanted Corbin to beat him.
I'm hoping
we've
he's
talked
injured.
about it for months now. I mean, that's what made the fight average to me too. They kind of laid on each other a good bit, which they're both big guys, so we knew that was going to happen. But I don't know. And then the Kevin Owens did the whole, that's kind of his shtick. He jumps out of the ring, runs around for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it gets old, man. He's a good jackass, like I talked about for Zayn. He's actually worse than him, but that's his shtick. But you're also, it makes Corbin look good when he fights somebody like him because nobody likes Kevin Owens right now.
Yeah, he's really dropped down so much.
And Corbin's kind of like that guy to me in school that you feel sorry for, but you make fun of him, but then you feel sorry for him. You make fun of Kevin Owens or laugh at Kevin Owens, you don't care because he's a dick,
Yeah.
Corbin, you make fun of him.
Hey. This is a crazy show, buddy. I got what you're saying.
But, if you make fun of Corbin, he's like, come on, man, don't pick on me. I want to be liked, That's what he portrays. Kevin Owens like, I don't care if you like me or not.
I got a reverse opinion. Corbin's kind of shown that he doesn't care. I get where you're coming from, though. It was just bizarre world for me.
We watched him live, and he ran over there to the guy that talked about his belly and threw the shirt at him. If you didn't care, you wouldn't have done that.
Well, anyway, Corbin winds up pinning Owens after his finisher, the End of Days. I was just shocked, Chance. Glad to have you back. What's going on here? Corbin is getting cheered. Last week, Chad, we discussed what they could do to turn around Corbin, and apparently what they had to do was put him in a match with Kevin Owens. Because he's getting cheered. By the way, I found this interesting. I found out about it after the fact. Baron Corbin was not on the show last week because they were wrestling in his hometown. He came on and they wrestled a dark match, a match that wasn't on TV after the show. But they didn't want him getting cheered on TV. Well, didn't make any sense this week because they put him in a position where he would be cheered. He's supposed to be a bad guy. But this week didn't make any sense unless they are thinking about pushing him in that direction as being a good guy. I think he's got some hope there. I didn't think it was humanly possible for this guy to get cheered. But he's like the lone wolf. He's not going to have any buddies. And that might wind up appealing to people in the long run. Or it could be just a case of what you said of right time, right opponent when it comes to wrestling Kevin Owens, who's on a little bit of a slump as far as character goes. Chance, did you get a chance to watch this match? And were you as shocked as I was that Corbin was getting cheers?
No, I did not. I didn't get to watch the match, but I am surprised Corbin was getting cheers. I don't think I'll ever be able to cheer that guy. So, regardless of what they do with him.
Top 10 finisher, though.
Oh, I love it. End of Days is ridiculous. And it's kind of a move, kind of like an RKO where you could see it coming from different perspectives. He could reverse something into something else. Imagine Bray Wyatt trying to do the Sister Abigail on him, and he snaps them. So that's pretty cool. They did a top 10 review of this. Top 10 is so stupid. They talk about how it's all about how they're going to use this to determine booking. But if you look at the top 10, there's no Kevin Owens and there's no Sami Zayn. So the idea behind the top 10 is you guys tell us who deserves to have shots at titles and things like that. So who has a world title shot at the next pay-per-view? Let's see. Besides AJ, you got Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin. 4 of the people in the world title match didn't make the top 10. So this list is complete insanity. And Ty Dillinger, the number 10 guy, hadn't been on the show in forever. Just don't make any sense. Bobby Roode comes out and he does a U.S. Open Challenge promo. It was really good to see Roode get a little bit of character development. So far, what he's done is that he came out and he's glorious, and that's all we know about this guy. But he made a comment here that he wanted to be known as the greatest U.S. champion ever. So at least we know where he's coming from in this case. Also, another thing I liked about this, and I nerded out this week, but Roode made a comment that he wanted challengers to not sneak up from behind. You know who he's referring to, right? Somebody?
Randy.
Yep. And so he takes a jab at him, and he says that he hopes one particular superstar comes out. And then when he hears Randy Orton's music, Bobby Roode is like a kid on Christmas when he hears that. He is so excited that he gets this match. Another cool addition to it. Well, they're about to wrestle. Here comes Jinder Mahal. And Jinder Mahal, I think, is probably right where he needs to be as in this level. I think this is where he needs to be. This should have been his ceiling. If you're going to promote him, this is where he should have been, like the U.S. title match kind of deal. As he gets closer to the ring, we start hearing RKO, RKO. And Randy Orton's so cool in this scene. He kind of does his look over at the crowd. He's still stone-faced, and it's almost like he's saying, I'm not convinced I need to do this right now. Later on, the chants get a little bit louder, and now Randy starts to smile. It's the little bitty things like that let you know these guys are really thinking about the small things that they're doing. Roode says, hey, I know why you're number 9, because there's a whole bunch, and not number 1 or number 2, because all the superstars don't like you because you come up from behind them and RKO them out of nowhere. And Orton says, do you mean kind of like this? RKO's the Singh brother. Roode goes to do his finisher to Jinder. Orton pushes him off, and then both of them get the Kalash, which is Jinder Mahal's finisher move. What do you guys think of Jinder's finishing move? I think it's pretty weak.
It's okay. I mean, it's like he's just slamming them down, but
yeah.
He kind of tries to hold him in a weird way to make it look different than him just slamming them down. But it's like a weak choke slam looking thing. But I mean, you got to get creative, I think, to have a really good finisher, you know. Because at the end of the day, Randy Orton's doing Steve Austin's finisher, so
yeah,
he's just kind of jumping at you. He don't kick you, so
he comes out of nowhere.
But yeah, he comes out of nowhere. But yeah, that's neat. He kind of picks him up, and I like to see him try to do that on Braun, though.
Yeah. Chance, what do you think about the Kalash?
I'm fine with it. I like it. I think it's fine.
Okay, we saw a little bit more character development here for Roode. You think this is a good direction for them to go? I think he's been one-dimensional as far as just all he has is really the glorious thing, and I like this a little bit more character development. Any of you want to talk about that? Seeing a little bit more from Roode this week.
I'm not a big fan of him.
Yeah.
I like him. I'm glad.
I think he's pretty average, but you know, I think it's cool what they're doing with the 10 thing. I mean, anytime you change it up a little bit with stuff like that, I kind of like it. So I don't have a problem with the 10 thing.
I know you like him, Chance, but to me, he just looks, besides his physique, you look at his face, he looks very ordinary to me. Like a guy you would see at the gym that spends way too much time on his body.
Yeah, that's true.
California. We got the New Day come out. And Chance, my prediction was you love this stuff. I hated it so much. They'll come out with a box of Bootios, I believe, or maybe pancake stuff. I don't know. But there's just something wrong with seeing them take something and lean it over a kid's head and have it dump out on their face. I don't know, but I feel all kinds of wrong when I'm watching that happen. They do that to a kid in the crowd. They dump pancakes all over them.
Did the kid act like they loved it?
Yes, but it just, I don't know. It's like innuendo for something else. I can't put my finger on it, but it looks weird to be just like, I don't know. I guess y'all don't feel the same way about it. It just seems weird to me.
I didn't see it, so I can't comment.
I like that they went from like them and there being stupid in the ring to actually fighting the actual match. I thought that was neat. A lot of times they don't do that. Once they do promo crap, they do promo crap. They might do a finisher, but then that's it. But it was kind of neat to say, okay, let's put these tables up and let's fight. You know, they don't usually do that. I like stuff they don't do a lot.
Tables.
Huh?
They should have used the tables.
Yeah, they could have used the tables, but
see somebody get a belly to belly through the pancakes.
Through the pancakes, yeah. I thought they were going to get them involved, but they didn't.
So this is all kind of silly. That it's the silly meter is off the charts. I can't really tolerate what they're doing.
Yeah.
It just, I get it. You're fun loving guys, but I want to see something switch in you when somebody comes to insult you, and not about what we hear them getting upset about.
About the pancakes.
Yeah. A side note here. I don't know why, but Kofi looks like somebody took a hammer and smashed his chest in. It's every time I look at him, it's all I can see. It's just like,
yeah,
like
I agree.
Dude, hit the gym a little bit. You don't have to do much. Just hit it a little bit.
John's
gonna be like a body critiquer.
Yeah, I miss the steroids, man. I do. I miss them a lot. So Big E is going to try to break the pancake eating record. And, of course, all this is a bunch of junk. It never happens. He puts like 9 into his mouth and doesn't chew or swallow any of them. And the other guys, how we're affectionately referring to Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, come out to tell them that they're a bunch of idiots. I don't see the crowd really involved in what New Day's doing here. I think it's been way too silly for way too long.
Yep.
Now, they had some really cool matches with Usos. That seems so far away at this point. But the other guys say, hey, dude, you're just being way too silly. We're here about wrestling, and you guys are just jokes. So how do they respond to New Day being silly? They start dropping pancakes in the middle of the ring to get the New Day pissed off. This is that moment where your wife walks in, you're like, oh, let me get the remote. She's, what are you doing? Nothing.
Is this the cooking channel?
Yeah. And then you're like, what are you doing with your life when you're watching this? I don't know. But that's the feeling that it's like you get caught watching porn or something. Oh, nothing. These moments. But I know they're not for me. They're for guys like Chance or for Braxton. For somebody else to be like, it's a New Day.
Maybe Dorsey. Hopefully not.
She hated it too. She watched it with me and she's like, oh, this is
I told you 3 weeks ago they needed to get rid of the pancakes.
Yep.
Move on to another food. All right, let's go to the next thing. Who even won that? Who even won?
They need to get the strawberries or the waffles, as the other guy said.
Okay, New Day won by their finisher. Okay.
Yeah, it says nice spots in the match, but the match started because of pancakes, which is so stupid. And then Byron Saxton in the middle of the match says, let me see those hips. Like, oh, he's talking about Big E doing his little hip twist, whatever you call it.
Does he still do that leg drop on the side?
No, I don't think so.
I hadn't seen that in forever. That was like the nastiest move ever.
So
I don't
scary.
know if maybe somebody got hurt and they're like, yeah, you need to stop doing that.
Mm-hmm. Gable does that trademark German suplex on Big E. Every time I see it, I just drop my jaw. It's the most insane thing. Big E's like, I ain't going to move. This is all on you. And usually with these suplexes, they get a lot of help. Kick off the ground. Oh, not this for Gable. And to be as little as he is and be able to do this, just insane.
I was about to say, I bet he's one of the pound for pound, one of the strongest guys in WWE.
No doubt. All these wrestler guys that come up, Kurt Angle, just a little side story here. When Kurt Angle joined the WWE, everybody that comes there, they have to go to the training facility and get used to doing what you got to do in the ring. And every single time they go in there and they meet up with the trainers, the guys who come in are just freaking exhausted. They're bruised up. They're tired after day one because they put them through the ringer, not Kurt Angle. The trainer who was training Kurt Angle at a certain point was like, all right, I've had enough. That's it. I can't do any more today. These guys coming in like from amateur wrestling are a whole different beast. And Chad Gable's one of them too. I think Shelton Benjamin was also a wrestler. He came up by the time of Brock Lesnar. They were both at the University of Minnesota at the same time. So these guys they're different animals. Again, there's a lot of nice spots in this match, but New Day win with their midnight hour finisher, just like you were saying, Chad. We get this Ziggler promo that we've heard every single time Ziggler does a promo for the last year and a half. I hated it. I don't want to talk about Ziggler anymore because he's just going to lose this pay-per-view. So I'm going to put a boycott on Ziggler talk from me. If any of y'all want to talk about him, you can. I just hate where he is, and hopefully
I've never liked him.
Thank you.
I think he's just to me, he's just how's he in wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some famous singer that shouldn't even be famous, but that's how I feel about him. I think he's just an aberration of a bad time in wrestling. Is the only reason he's something now. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Yep. Well, hopefully my boycott of Dolph Ziggler will reach WWE and they'll make a change in his character or do something different with him.
Give him a tag team partner or something.
Thank you. He really needs some help.
Anyway.
I'm going to keep going, Chance. The Usos take us on a trip to the Uso Penitentiary. I don't know how you guys took this. At the end of this promo, it zooms out just a little bit, not enough to where you can tell something's happening. And we have the Bludgeon Brothers smash the TV that this is showing on. I jumped out of my skin when this happened. I didn't see it coming at all. It scared the crap out of me when they smashed the screen and it all fell apart. And Corey Graves had a cool little line here. After all this happened, he said, "Byron, let go of my leg."
I thought it was a pretty good promo from the Usos.
I agree. They got it, man.
I wish it was a little bit darker where the Bludgeon Brothers were. It was like bright. Like I don't know why. I just thought if it was like more like a darker looking setting, it would have been even scarier looking. But
whatever it was they crushed was not a TV.
Yeah.
Because it looked like paper falling out of there.
You would think
it was the strangest thing.
That's what I'm saying. You would think WWE could afford a $500 TV getting broken, but no. Let's get a fake one.
They did it before.
Give me a fake $50 TV.
I think Strowman destroyed a couple of TVs in the back one time, but it still was pretty impactful. Brothers,
Luke Harper looked like he was like about to laugh about it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one to the left looked a little not so serious as he could have been.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Our main event, Zayn versus Ziggler, is brought to you by Tap Out Body Spray. Now, my question to you guys is, did either one of you get this for Valentine's Day from your wife? And if so, how did it affect your romance?
Yeah, my wife got me that for Valentine's Day, and I woke up middle of the night and she had me pinned in this.
Hello, hold on a second here. Oh.
No, obviously.
Yeah. Well, anywho, this match, and whenever they did like the highlights of this match, they'd always have Tap Out on there. Like, come on. You know what's being sold at Kmart? A Kmart somewhere. It's got John Cena's face all over it.
What did you think of this match, John?
Oh, I loved it. There's so much thing in this match that I like. I talk nasty about Ziggler, but when he gets in the ring and he has his moments, it's really, really good.
He can play off somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that?
He can.
He's good at playing with the other person. He sells stuff almost too much sometimes, but
You're right.
that's kind of his thing. So, but I thought it was a decent match. I mean, was it better than Raw's final match? No, but it's hard to beat 6 people, like you said. So,
Yeah. At the beginning of this match, something I really like, these wrestlers are doing match after match after match. You got to think at some time you've ran through every single thing that you can possibly do. But I like what Zayn did at the beginning of the match. He kept going into the ropes. The plan here is to frustrate Ziggler. But when Zayn does is he's like, ref, do your job. Get him off of me, which I thought was really cool. And then it happened again, and he looks at the crowd like, can you believe this guy? He won't get him off of me. And it's like that cool little heel bad guy thing to be like he thinks that everybody's on his side here. And that's how I guess you'd call that a narcissist, thinking that everybody loves him but he's the bad guy here, which I really like. Let's see here. I thought was interesting on a commentary. It kind of took away from the match, but they're going back and forth about Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. It's like, dude, enough. We don't care about these two guys at this time. But one time, Corey Graves, after Byron was talking trash about Sami Zayn, he said, "Hey Byron, are you through with that Kool-Aid?" Which is a look back at the whole Jim Jones thing from a while back. Drinking the Kool-Aid, which means you're believing the lie. Sami Zayn does an exploder from the top rope.
That was it.
Yep. Oh my gosh. And I love that there's a moment here where they zoomed in on Ziggler. He had this fear in his eyes. And man, they're just good about that. Kept capturing moments from time to time. I don't like all that they do in the ring with cameras, but man, it was awesome. He did a zigzag from hell on Sami Zayn. He kicked out.
That's pretty nice.
Yep. And then Sami Zayn.
That was when he was like bending over.
Another top 10.
Went all the way.
Nasty. There was a super kick that was blocked, and there was 2 throws into the corner. Sami Zayn did an exploder into the turnbuckle, which to me is one of the filthiest looking moves. It probably doesn't hurt at all, but it looks so filthy when he flips them over and they hit the turnbuckle.
Looks painful.
So I think he was going in for his finisher, or one of the finishers was that haluva kick, and Dolph Ziggler stops him with a super kick. 1, 2, 3. Now the match is a fatal 5-way. Still a lot of tension between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They're going back and forth. They're both disappointed in the other one for losing a match and causing this to become a fatal 5-way. What's lost in all this is AJ Styles. He has no control over what's happening. And now his one-on-one match turned into a 3-way match. Then it became a 4-way match. Now it's a 5-way. There's 4 other guys in the ring. It's going to make it very, very difficult for him. Any final thoughts on SmackDown before we move on to other things on the agenda?
Not really. Just always glad when they do more wrestling and less Shane and Daniel Bryan.
And there was so much good wrestling this week. I mean, every match had that lull to it, but man, this is match after match after match of quality stuff. And I agree with you. There's more wrestling, and there's always a good thing. Shane and Daniel Bryan still got on the screen, and they're continuing that on. Hopefully by WrestleMania time, it's going to be over with. So let's move on to our winners and losers of the week. I'll go first. My winner of the week is Baron Corbin, because when he started his career as a bad guy, he probably never thought in a million years that somebody would be chanting his name. And he had to he probably called his mom after SmackDown and told her how happy he was that he finally got cheered in a match. So I think he's probably on cloud 9 right now. I don't know if he should have been cheered because he's supposed to be a bad guy, but nonetheless, I think he's the winner. He had a really good match, in my opinion, and his character showed a lot of promise this week by getting jumped and then fighting back. That's what he should do. He should be a tough guy on the show. The loser. I pulled a chase here, and I got multiple losers. It's all about the same thing, at least. The New Day and the other guys. Both teams look like a bunch of jackasses, and crowd was not into what was happening here. And New Day, to me, is losing their luster a little each week. The other guys don't have a lot of luster to begin with, and instead of emphasizing what they do good, which is just wrestling, they made them look like a bunch of idiots here. So those are my losers of the week. Chance, winner, and loser for this week.
John, I'm surprised you didn't go Sarah Logan as your winner. Or Asuka from the promo.
Should have been Sarah Logan. Dang it.
Mine is Seth Rollins. Getting back to the glory days, maybe. At least the opportunity to do so. Loser. Come back to me on the loser.
Chad, winner, loser.
I was gonna do Baron Corbin winner. So yeah, I guess you should have done Sarah, so it would have been all separate. But, like you said, I mean, the guy, you could say him and Ziggler. Really, I'll say Ziggler because, 2 weeks ago, what was he? He wasn't gonna be fighting nothing. Now he's gonna be in one of the best matches in Fastlane, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a win. Loss, Kevin Owens. I think you alluded to it. He went from a 2v1 against AJ to 1v4. So he's not going to win that match. Let's just be honest. He's like probably fourth on that list. Ziggler's 5. And you got the other 3. So that's how I would look at it. But that's my loser. Kevin Owens is just on a downward spiral. And I think after he does bad in that match, he might just disappear for a little while. Maybe he'll get healthy or something. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah. Chance, you got a loser yet?
So who's in the Fatal 5-Way besides Cammy and AJ?
Corbin and Ziggler.
Okay, so my loser is Sami Zayn because I thought that he could win that match with AJ. A far shot, but I thought it could happen. But after him losing to Dolph, I don't see how he wins a Fatal 5-Way with all those guys.
Somebody's got to win it. I think it's better for Sami Zayn and even anybody other than AJ that there is 5 people. Because if you just go one-on-one against AJ, they're not going to let you beat him. But if you go 5 on everybody for themselves, they can gang up on AJ, get him hurt, and then somebody pins him out of nowhere. Then AJ don't lose so much luster.
Yeah, but before this week, it was only 3-on-1. So this week made it harder for him to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I'm just saying it's better than 1-on-1, to be honest.
Yeah, it is better than 1-on-1, considering he lost 1-on-1 to Ziggler.
There you go.
Well, there ain't no way AJ Styles loses his match because it's going to be him and Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania. They may throw somebody else in this match. God, I hope not, but it may happen. I want just them two to be in a match, and let's see them go at it. But
it'll be a heck of a match.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, that's our winner and losers from the week. Let's take a look at the news real quick. It looks like the WWE is going to be returning to multi-brand pay-per-views again. It had been the last couple of years. Survivor Series and Royal Rumble, I believe, are the only 2 cross-promotional. I guess WrestleMania too were the only ones where both brands were on the same show. But they're doing away with that. There's guesses as to why this is happening. Ticket sales being one of them. But now you're just going to have matches on the same paper. I believe it'll be like SmackDown versus a SmackDown guy, a Raw guy versus a Raw guy. But instead of having 2 pay-per-views, you just got one instead of like the combos. It will probably help out SmackDown because a lot of SmackDown pay-per-views are just like they're just squeezing every moment out of them, and a lot of filler in those matches.
I kind of like I kind of like that they're doing it. I don't like just Raw people, just SmackDown. I'm not a big fan of the way they do it, period, now anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
because I want I want there to be somewhat of a, like you said, as far as like match goes, AJ ain't wrestling on Monday Night Raw. It just ain't going to happen. I don't like that. You know what I mean? So that's just me. I wish they would all just go back to wrestling whenever, wherever, however. You might see one on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown,
Mm-hmm.
But,
Well, this is what they're doing. It's the same path they went on last time they did this. I wasn't around, but after hearing about the brand split, people would talk about what originally happened. They split them up. They made both shows important. And then over time, SmackDown became less and less and less important. And to the point to where they did separate pay-per-views. Now we're going to combine them. And now the next step is to be like, let's don't even do separate brands. We'll do Raw, SmackDown, and it'll have the same
I
wrestlers.
see what you're saying. You're saying they split up the roster that way you would watch SmackDown to watch AJ Styles, to watch Shinsuke, to watch. I get that point, but that's just putting a Band-Aid on something you need to fix. You need to make both shows really good. You know what I mean by that? So,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if you make SmackDown like a different dynamic, like only this type of matches, or I don't know if you do it that way or something. But I don't know.
To me, you got too much talent for one show and not enough talent for two. If that makes any sense.
You
Not
got
enough
5
big
outlets.
guys. Not enough big guys at the top. But what it leaves you doing is you're drained. This week I felt pretty good, but the way you felt this week is the way I felt last week. And Chance, you falling asleep in the main event, although it was a great match. It's just way too much, as we have seen. And now they're throwing in the mixed match challenge and just a whole bunch of stuff. Also this week, you had Corey and Booker T going at it online and over the radio. Booker T was saying that Corey got him fired from WWE or taken off of Raw. And he said if he ever saw him in public that he'd kick his butt. And after a back and forth thing, it was just like, we were joking. We pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. And everybody's like, well, first of all, we don't care that you're doing this. It's not important to us. And if you tell us this is happening, why shouldn't we believe you? And if it's a big joke to you, then it fell flat to me. Like anybody would care about.
Why would you joke? Why would you put that out there as a joke? What purpose would that have served?
I don't know.
Drama between the announcers.
Mm-hmm. They had their fun, is all I can say, and nobody else cared about it. Nobody got mad that this was a ruse. Nobody lost their minds over this. Like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
There's probably 5 people that are just pissed that Booker T's not doing it.
Yeah.
They'll stop watching WWE because Booker T is not doing.
Yep.
I'm being dead serious.
I agree. I know how these fans are. They're insane. Well, guys.
You say they, but you mean we.
Yeah. We're insane. Yep, I know. We're watching professional wrestling as grown men, so we're lost. So weird sounding.
All right, guys.
We are at the end of our time here. Been a really good show. I apologize for nerding out this whole episode. I just loved every minute of it. The wrestling this weekend. I wanted to express my feelings about it. Before we go, do you guys have anything on your mind or you want to bring up? Chance, you want to plug one of your books that you just released?
Nah, man, still working on the Tooth Fairy.
Still working on what?
The Lost Tooth.
You got to watch. You apparently didn't watch the whole last week's podcast.
No, I didn't watch the whole thing. No. Sorry,
The
guys.
Forgotten Tooth. Check out the very beginning of that and then the very end, Chad.
I watched the beginning, but
we did in the introductions. Okay, guys. On that note, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for liking. Thank you so much for sharing. And I appreciate any emails that you send us. We really appreciate any feedback that you can give us on this. If you have an idea for a segment that you want to have on here, great. If you want to join our show, hey, we're all for it because we want to just shoot the bull about wrestling. We will see you guys next Thursday at 9:30 when we talk about the upcoming pay-per-view and we give our opinions. Until then, peace out.
See you later.
Yeah.